A weekend deadline is approaching that could separate French-speaking Quebec and the rest of Canada. And a constitutional agreement aimed at keeping the country together is still being blocked by two provinces. Eric Ingberg has our story.
Canada's Prime Minister Brian Mulroney, his prestige on the line as the deadline nears on his plan to give Quebec special language rights, flew to the remote province of Newfoundland to make one last appeal to its legislature, which will vote on the deal today.
Canada is like a family. And families correct problems not by breaking up in anger, but by sitting down together in mutual respect.
Mulroney warned that failure to pass the deal would weaken Quebec's ties to the rest of Canada, bringing economic disruption.
Negative signals around the world, to the great money pools around the world needed for investment, negative signals because in their minds, political stability is king.
Political handicappers view the Newfoundland vote as a toss-up. But as the Saturday legal deadline approached, the Quebec deal was in far more serious trouble in the only other province which hasn't approved. In Manitoba, Indian leaders with a list of historic grievances have blocked a vote with skillful parliamentary ploys that have made their spokesman Elijah Harper an overnight national cult hero. As time runs out on the dream of a deal to end language bickering, many Canadians have remarked on the irony that, for once, the Indians seem to be holding all the guns.
Joining us now is Lucie Vaillancourt, a French-Canadian who currently lives in Kansas City with her non-French-Canadian husband, Ian Wolfe. He's from British Columbia. I've got to just start off. What is your thought? Is Canada going to split into two countries?
I don't think so. I think what's happening here is French Canada wants to remain French Canada, and we want to we want to be able to speak French all the time, and it's our heritage.
Has Quebec ever really been part of mainstream Canada?
Well, we felt left out all these years, and I think now the Canadian public is rebelling and say, well, it's about time. We want to become
part of mainstream Canada.
Exactly, with our little French culture in the back.
And just keep your language.
Exactly, exactly.
Ian, does this threaten non-French Canadians?
Oh, not particularly, no. I think that we recognize that they want to have their own distinct society and be on their own. But there is a tendency that there's also a feeling that maybe the Quebecers are wanting a little too much of maintaining their own society and not really becoming a part of the entire country.
If this constitutional question is not resolved this weekend, then I suppose the separatists will have more of a springboard towards a free country. Would you be for that? Would your relatives in Quebec like to have it as a separate country?
Well, having bilingual relatives and family, mother and father, I wouldn't want to be totally isolated from the rest of Canada. I would be more apt to go for our little French government and everything. We would have our own. Everything would be ruled out from. How should I say? It wouldn't be English making decisions all the time. It would be our Canada, our little Quebec would be making our own decisions.
You know, yesterday in a French language paper called La Presse, poll said 57% of the Quebecois would like to have sovereignty.
Well, it's hardly possible. I can imagine it's such a complex situation that a good majority of the people have trouble understanding all this entire problem that we're having at the moment.
And I imagine a lot of the non-French Canadians have trouble understanding French Canadians to begin with.
Well, that's true, and I'm fortunate enough that I married a French Canadian and understand their situation, but you're correct.
Ian and Lucie, thank you both very much. I hope that you remain together and this doesn't break you guys up.
No, merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much. Up next, it's Up, Up and Away as Lily previews Cloudbustin' 90.